It's time for Around the Gridiron with your co-hosts, Marissa Voss and Brock Aker.
Welcome to another edition of Around the Gridiron. We have our fourth guest ever here on Around the Gridiron. It is Stephie Smalls, contributor to the New York Giants Rush. How are you doing, Stephie Smalls? We also have co-host Marissa Voss here. We have three people. Well, let's meet Stephie Smalls. How are you doing?
I'm good, guys. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited. He was like, yeah, Marissa. No, Marissa too. I'm always,
yeah.
I love chatting with the guys. I've always been a guy's girl, but I do love to see females get involved. It's kind of how I got involved too. I want to make sports not intimidating because they can be fun for everyone without all the numbers as much as we love them. But
yeah, it's always good like to see girls doing it. Like, yeah, Brock, you're fine. You're a guy. Good for you. You're doing this. But like, it's good to see women empowerment because I'm like,
yeah,
yes, we know sports. We love sports.
And I also respect men that will have a show with a woman because it's not either. Sometimes you see a lot of groups and they don't have that female. And I think it does bring like something a little bit different because obviously I don't know about you, but I didn't play football. So we have a little bit different perspective, so it's a little bit different than being a male that maybe played football. But I love to see females involved in different groups.
Well, Stephie, you were a Giants fan. Can you explain what made you a Giants fan when you grew up?
Yeah, totally. Brock wanted to throw up when he said that because he's a Pats fan, and Brock wouldn't have been asking me on the podcast if this was 2007, 2011. But no. So I actually, talking about women, my mom is a huge Giants fan. I did not become a Giants fan from my father, although he does watch and he loved it. But my mom is a huge football fan. My grandpa played, my uncle played all for like the same team. My uncle played in college. My brother played. So I kind of grew up with it. I was a cheerleader, if you can't tell by how freaking loud I am. And so I just love being on the sidelines. I actually quit all my field hockey, everything so that I could do football, cheerleading, even though I hated it, but just so I could watch this sport. But yeah, football has just always been something that's been part of my life. I mean, Sundays were, I come from an Italian family. Sundays were food and football. We ate, we had an early dinner, and then everyone sat down, and it's one of those things that families can get along about. And it's very nice to have that one thing. I mean, my brother is 6 years younger than me. So for a while, that's really all we had because we kind of coexisted, if that makes sense. But the Giants is our thing. So it was cool growing up, but we obviously had those two Super Bowls. So being from around the area, I mean, my family is probably the biggest part of it, but that's what made me such a fanatic.
Is Eli Manning a Hall of Famer?
It's so funny because I was going to drop his name and I'm like, I feel like the Hall of Fame question is coming. Yeah, he has to be. I mean, I don't know that that's going to happen. I think it's difficult. I mean, you're also seeing now in the league with these younger quarterbacks that maybe aren't doing as well in the beginning. Take Baker Mayfield, he gets a new coaching staff and he starts doing really well. Eli, I'm not comparing to Baker Mayfield, but he did. I mean, Eli has struggled in the beginning of his career. He struggled in the end of his career. The Giants are known to get lucky too. That 2017, it was, 2000, I thought I said 17. I'm like, oh God, here I go. But that 2017 was phenomenal. 2011, they really, they can pull things off. So Eli Manning in his prime with Plaxico, with Brandon Jacobs, with all these guys that were on that team, Justin Tuck, Michael Strahan. I mean, that was a solid team, but I think people sometimes forget about the people around. Is he a GOAT like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady? I don't know that you can necessarily say that, but the dude's got 2 rings, man. He played until they kicked him out of that field, and obviously he's a legend to me. So in my heart, he's a Hall of Famer, whether he goes there or not.
More rings than the Minnesota Vikings have, so that's what I gotta say to that.
It's true. Okay. But you guys came that playoff game. What year was that when you guys got kicked out?
I think it was 2009.
It might have been, yeah. And I think there wasn't a similar situation. Yeah, you guys have had a couple unlucky. I have to say, how do you feel about Kirk Cousins? Let's talk about quarterback.
Everyone
And then we
wants
can
to
get
talk.
into Cam, but
Everyone wants to talk about Kirk Cousins being so bad, and I get it. He's getting paid so much money to not contribute, but at the same time, he was, for an extended week of time, he was the number one passer and in the red zone, and he had the number one offense in the red zone, and his QB rating in the fourth quarter was, the best of all the league. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's more of, how's our O-line doing? How's our defense doing? What about our special teams? Like, should we get a stable kicker that isn't inconsistent? Yeah. So for me, there's other things that we could work on. I think Kirk does his job, but he's not like Baker Mayfield right now, or
and the thing is, right,
Aaron
like
Rodgers.
You're not gonna get rid of Kirk. Should they have paid him that much? Nah, but you're not going to get rid of Kirk Cousins when you have talent like Cook and all these guys on the team. I think there's a bunch of teams. I mean, they're kind of just have these Swiss cheese holes. And if they I think next year is going to be a good year of football because we have a lot of teams, and it's been a while since I've been able to say that. There's a lot of teams that need to fix a few little things. And they're going to be very competitive. I don't remember the last time it was like this. This is like going back years ago. That next year I'm really excited. But I have to ask about Cam Newton. But I will tell you, disclosure, I love Cam Newton. I actually have rooted for the Patriots for the first time in my life because I think that Cam Newton got totally, for lack of a better term, screwed this year a little bit. Cam Newton is a good quarterback, but ever since he left college, this guy has just gotten the short stick. I mean, I'm telling you, he does not get anything. He doesn't get anything that goes his way. I feel bad for him, but you probably can't stand him after having Tom Brady. I can't even imagine being a Pats fan.
Yeah, Brock, how do you feel like your team's eliminated from the playoffs right now? Like, let's go off of both of the girls kind of ganging up on you, but your team's done. What are some emotions?
Well, our quarterback has 5 total passing touchdowns on this season. So that is pretty big. I don't think Cam Newton's good at all. I think he's got a great personality. I think everyone loves him. Like, I love him as a person, but he needs to go. His time's done. Yes, he doesn't have a lot of weapons. With Julian Edelman especially getting hurt, our tight end situation isn't great. But our offensive line is still top 5. He has plenty of time to throw to different receivers, and he's had receivers, and then he's had time to run, and he just doesn't run, or when he does, he's very slow. Like, he's nowhere close to how he was in Carolina. I think Kirk Cousins could probably beat him in a race. Daniel Jones definitely would fall down at the 5-yard line.
Yeah, well, not 5, probably 80, but he would definitely fall, and Cam would definitely win. But you gotta love Daniel Jones for his quirkiness. At least he can run. But I agree. I mean, Cam Newton too. You wonder with the COVID stuff going on. Speaking of with me having it literally right now, I mean, I have to tell you, these past couple of days were brutal. So I really wonder, as an athlete, heading back onto the field. I mean, they're turning these guys over fast too, but I never thought Cam Newton was a good fit there. That is one of my calls that I made earlier in the season that I'm very proud of. I knew that Bill Belichick and Cam Newton were way too quiet before that draft started. Just crickets from both of them. And I was like, he's going to the Pats. And I don't know what, I just knew it was happening. But you guys also had a lot of people opt out, I think the Patriots are an organization, though, that they can pull it together. Like, next season, they know they have their head on right, that with a couple things, I mean, their draft, you kind of saw Belichick. I didn't really know what was going on with the last draft, but I think this year will be huge for you guys. I think the Pats will be back in it, running, just ready to go next season. Who do you think the quarterback will be? Because Cam won't be there. There's no way.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. I know Niners fans are done with Jimmy Garoppolo, and I know Bill Belichick like Jimmy G. I would love Wentz. I'm a huge Wentz fan. He's just up in North Dakota, so we obviously have a little bit of, I guess, not really biased because South Dakota hates North Dakota, but I'm not into that rivalry that much. I'm more of a Huskers fan. But he's a good person. Obviously, the Eagles don't like him. I don't know if Bill's willing to pay him. We do have the 3rd most salary cap going into next year. You're going back, Cam Newton, I don't think we're going to keep, because you mentioned COVID, having that could have maybe turned him not so good this year. But that argument can go away, I think, after Lamar Jackson had COVID, and all of a sudden now he's his MVP form, 3 touchdowns or more in the last 3 games. I know it's different degrees, but he's not even close.
It's hard. I'm noticing a lot this season. You guys can interrupt me if you disagree, but this is one of those seasons that I'm really noticing the difference between a backup quarterback and a quarterback, right? So we're seeing backup quarterbacks throughout the league, and you're seeing teams play phenomenal. The second the backup quarterback gets in, it's just done. That's it. It's done. It doesn't matter. Even if the quarterback before wasn't doing well, these teams are, I mean, there are some teams I will give so much credit. I think Mullins has done a fantastic job. Obviously, Foles was in the Mitch situation was a little weird over there, but I really think the Pats are, I mean, Wentz is kind of a good place. It's a little bit of a rivalry too, like with Bill Belichick leaving from Doug. I could see that. And Wentz is starting to speak out a little bit too. He's not very happy anymore. He was being just quiet and supportive from behind because, I mean, the dude has a $128 million contract. I would just shut up and sit on the bench, quite frankly. But he's someone that's gotten snubbed, right? Nick Foles came in, took MVP, took the Super Bowl. So I actually would. I don't love Wentz, but I would like to see him have success. And actually, the thought of him in New England is quite scary.
Well, and if you think like, will you guys even take, where do you land in the draft? Because if you've got to look, if you are keen on a North Dakota boy, you got to look at Trey Lance coming up. NDSU quarterback, very small guy. He actually went to Marshall, Minnesota. High school, we played against him in football, so I've seen his skills. I've seen what he's done. He's only gotten better since college. You also got to look, maybe he goes there. Maybe we take him, Vikings take him. But is that what you guys want, Brock, more than anything? Do you want to draft a new quarterback, or do you want to get someone like Carson and has a couple of years veteran under your belt?
I think we have still some players like Stephie said that we could maybe be competitive next year. So I would more look at maybe Kyle Pitts. I know we took 2 tight ends in the 3rd round, but they did not look good. I know tight ends is the toughest position probably for a rookie to be a contributor going into the year. But Kyle Pitts looks like he could be impact player from day one. Or maybe one of the receivers. I know Devontae Smith or Jordan Chase will probably be done by then.
No, you're not getting Smith, okay? He's coming to New York. I don't care. No, we'll probably take an edge the 1st round. But yeah, I mean, I could see this is the thing with this league too. There's kind of a lot of good quarterbacks. We're seeing this weird swinging around of quarterbacks. So I could totally, honestly, I could see the Vikings take someone in the draft quicker than I would see the Pats, because I think Bill Belichick he could easily take Jimmy G. He could take Mariota, honestly, and be successful, I think, over there. I think that Bill has such a ground, like a very foundational program that next year too, with these guys coming back with the caps, there's a team that could take someone that is a vet and could come in, play maybe a year and then just. But I think they need to get someone in for Kirk to start like at least sitting on the bench and getting ready to take over.
Well, it's the biggest thing because you look at the backup we have now. It's Mannion, Mannion. I can always struggle saying it, but there's no way. It's like putting in someone who's never been on the field, right? It's like putting someone that doesn't have any anything. You're just there because if we get it's kind of like the Broncos situation when everyone had they went through all the quarterbacks. Well, who do you have now? Well, you got to look at the guy who doesn't do crap. That's the thing. I think we need to get someone, even if they're young, someone in the 1st round to sit Kirk when he's having a bad game, And the thing is, that's Vikings culture, though. You look at Dan Bailey, and everyone was so upset at him because he literally cost us 10 points and arguably the game against the Buccaneers. And then we started him. And yeah, he did good, and I don't think he missed any. He missed maybe 1 field goal this last game, but it's just why do we keep giving people chances when they keep messing up?
It's interesting. It's interesting because both of the Patriots, the Vikings, even, I mean, you could look at the Eagles are the same way. A lot of these teams, they'll very easily bench a quarterback where that's never really been the culture in New York. So I'm never used to that, right? You see, especially with the quarterbacks, that's a position that they kind of really invest in. When they make that draft pick, that's why I keep telling these kids, we're not taking a quarterback in the draft. You can wish and dream and pray and do whatever you want. I promise you, I will bet my life savings on it. This kid will play for New York, okay? No matter what, unless he gets injured, this kid is on that team through his rookie deal, if not for the franchise. That's it, period. That's just how it works. So they have to build around. And I think that that's what Joe Judge is doing, but it's very interesting to see other teams, you mess up and they kind of put him on the bench. But I sometimes I'm like, it's not a bad thing.
No, yeah, it's just so hard because Brock and I have talked about this a lot too. I guess we haven't really got much more into it, but I mean, what are your guys' thoughts as an outsider on different teams of Kirk Cousins? What do you think of him?
I think he's a game manager. I don't think you want to ask him to do too much. He did have some comebacks against Jacksonville and the Carolina, but you got to think he's having one of his better years, but he has Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen and then people in the box to take care of Dalvin Cook. Like, he's got so much around him that you think he could even maybe be better. And I think he's being more smarter with the football this year. And I think if this offense was a couple years ago when the Vikings defense was really good and they weren't hurt, I think they will probably maybe beat the Eagles. I don't understand really when you get to the playoffs, quarterbacks that aren't that good, aren't legendary, can perform like Foles did and Eli. So it's really about playing football at the right time. That's why I think, going off subject a little bit, I think the Baltimore Ravens might be the most deadliest team right now. They're playing they're playing. I said that at my midway season. I had the Ravens in the Super Bowl, and even though I predicted the Steelers to win to the division, because Baltimore doesn't need a home field advantage. They're 0-2 with Lamar Jackson in the playoffs at home. Running the ball, you can go anywhere, and really home field advantage with COVID doesn't matter. Plus, you saw against Cleveland, Lamar Jackson was sliding all over the place, and then his team still dropped 45 points. You think he might rather go to Tennessee or Indianapolis or somewhere where it's warm and he doesn't have to worry about snowy conditions with his speed. I don't know. I just think the Ravens, they're getting healthy now with Calais Campbell, maybe Brandon Williams back. I just look at teams that are playing hot right now, and they kind of intrigue me. Well, the Saints, they might be going down a ways. The NFC East, you're lucky. You're still in the race right now. And the Redskins with Dwayne Haskins going to strip clubs, leading their team.
Right. I know, it's ridiculous.
We're in the division.
It's weird times in the NFC East. Dark times. It's like the Giants were finally on this four-game winning streak, and you're like, yeah, this is great. We haven't won this many games in a row since I don't even know when, since Eli won the Super Bowl. This is amazing. These teams stink, but I knew that Redskins defense was gonna end up pulling through. That was one of the games I called. I saw that upset coming from a mile away. The Steelers cannot run the ball. Big Ben is too old. He's got to go. He should have retired. It's done. It's just done. It's just not working over there anymore. He cannot move. You have to be fluid in the pocket, and he's not fluid anymore. But getting back to Kirk Cousins, and then I will touch base on who I think is going to win the Super Bowl, because I think you're going to be surprised. But with Kirk Cousins, he's always been a quarterback that confuses me a little bit, because you see these, he's one of those players that he can do it in the moments, he can get it done. But I mean, when I saw the beginning of the season, I was like, I can't believe they paid this guy this much. This is crazy. I was like, his prime's done. I can't believe that. That's a lot of money to pay a quarterback to be losing to what was it, Dallas? You guys lost to? I think.
Yeah, we lost to Dallas.
That was a brutal, ugly game too. I was like, what is happening? Please, Kirk, do something. And I feel bad because Eric is my best friend, obviously. So we're always joking around. One of us has to win this week. And we just kept losing. And we're like, this is a nightmare. We can't even be excited for each other anymore. But yeah, I think, you know what? I think Kirk Cousins, I think there's a couple issues there, but I think that there's stuff that they can address this off season. I think that Kirk Cousins is a functional quarterback. He's still the starting quarterback. You can't say he's not. Kirk Cousins is starting. I just hope that they're able to fit it in that scheme. I hope that they're able to kind of just build around him a little bit more. And I would hate to see, do you think Thielen is going to leave? That was one of my questions I wanted to ask you.
This is what's for me is, I'm a big, I love Justin Jefferson. I love Thielen. I love them all, right? They're so good. I think that he has too much heart to even want to leave. So many people were like, he's going to get traded. He's going to get traded. I was like, I would see so many other people get traded before Thielen even thinks about leaving Minnesota.
Yeah.
Because like you said, like when you have, someone who's in this program, they're going to stay in the program and they're going to build around them. I think Thielen is just, Minnesota State he was in, and then, it's just his team. I don't think I ever see him going anywhere else. It's kind of like when Randy Moss went over to the Patriots. It was kind of just like sacrilegious. You're like, no, you're a Minnesota guy. Like, this isn't right. Like you shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, I think he is bought in. I would hate to see him leave. That would really
So
stink.
would I.
I always wonder a little bit, does he want to go to a team where he'd have a little bit more spotlight? And I always feel bad because I'm like, he's also playing with these guys. People kind of forget about Thielen, which makes me so sad because Thielen's one of my favorite players to watch. I've adored watching him play. I think he plays great ball, but it stinks a little bit because he kind of, you see it on a lot of teams. There's always that one player that just kind of gets pushed under the rugs a little bit, even though they're a very productive football player. So I would hate to see him want to leave because he wants to, especially right now when there's a lot of openings everywhere. Again, like I said, this is going to be a weird we think last off season was weird. It's going to get weird this off season because the cap space is weird. Teams really need people. There's a lot of people whose contracts are up. So I would just hate for him to leave because I think him and Kirk do play. You can see when they have chemistry. Speaking of chemistry, I will go to my Super Bowl pick. I love the Bills right now, man. Listen, man and
Mafia,
woman.
baby.
I'm saying man because I never get to talk to a girl, but I'm always like man, dude, bro, and
I get it. That's how I am with Brock.
I know. So, but I love that. Oh my God, Allen and Diggs they don't get enough credit. That was one of the best pickups that they could have grabbed. Those two, their chemistry is great on the field. I mean, I actually like watching them better than I like watching Rodgers and Adams. I think they play some good ball together. So I think the Bills are on fire right now. They're a very complete team. I think compared to the Ravens, I just hope the Ravens I hope they can actually, I don't hope obviously because we have to play them. I hope they can do whatever they want except for the game that they play us. But I think the Ravens too, I think as long as they can hold it together. There's a lot of teams right now that need to hold it together. And if they don't hold it together, it's done for. So we'll see. I think the Miami Dolphins are another one of those teams. I think they're going to show their true colors and very shortly. I think that's a ticking time bomb over there. So I think this is going to be one of those weeks where we're going to start seeing who's really the frauds, who is really not exactly who they are acting like,
Well, I think I don't know if Brock agrees with this, one team or two that I think I'm waiting for the shoe to drop is the Buccaneers. And I'm also waiting for the Arizona Cardinals because these are two teams where I don't know. I don't know if Buccaneers are going to go the distance because there's been a lot of close games where they shouldn't have, almost lost, right? But they came back and they had the second string. And then the same thing with the Arizona Cardinals. I just think they have a lot of potential that they haven't even hit the second level yet, I don't think, because in the beginning of the year, we were like, Cardinals, Black Horse MVP, Kyler Murray, let's go. And now it's kind of fallen off where they are clinging onto a playoff spot and hopefully getting into that. So those are two teams I would agree on the same thing, but also want to see how they're going to be doing this week, especially. Brock, I don't know if that's something you agree with.
No, I think that teams that are the 5 and 6 seed, because there's only one team with a bye, I think it's anyone's really race now with the new playoff format. I think the Buccaneers, obviously, they have a defense that can play. They were really good at the beginning. They kind of tailed off now here. Their defense needs to pick it up if they want to go anywhere. And obviously, I think Tom Brady's starting to heat up a little bit when he gets to the postseason. I think they'll score and be in every game. And you want him down the stretch. I don't know how much I trust him. There's a lot of teams that every team has a weakness, I think. Even the mighty Chiefs, they just like to play as good as their opponent. They should be blowing almost every team out, but they always give them a chance at the end, and that could maybe mess them up this year. As last year they came in from behind. Maybe this year they have a lead and then they get too cute like sometimes they do. The Bills, I like their offense. The thing that scares me is their Achilles heel is kind of like the Packers. Their run defense isn't the greatest. And I think if the Ravens sneak it at the 7th seed, and now the Bills are the 2, that's terrible for the Bills. You get the 2 seed finally, and now you have to play Lamar Jackson on the Baltimore Ravens. That's going to be a heck of a matchup in the wild card. Like,
Yeah.
that'd be crazy.
I'm not bought into Lamar Jackson yet. I can't get on the Lamar Jackson train. I can't do it, and I want to because I feel bad for him. Like I like to listen to him talk. I felt so bad for him in the beginning of the season because I felt like he felt so defeated, and he was really like the only one on the team, and he felt like everyone was really rooting for them to lose, which you have to grow up a little bit. That comes with maturity as the quarterback. You are the team leader. You have to get ready because there's 31 other teams that want you to lose, right? And then their fan bases. So yes, people want you to lose. So you have to get used. And I think that team just kind of is getting comfortable with each other. I don't know. It's probably because you know who I can't really stand Hollywood Brown. I'm over him. I just don't care. I just wish he didn't get the ball anymore. I'm over it. So I think his combination with Lamar Jackson it's like you have these games where he's essentially an RB1, right? So it's like, if you have a defense that's really good against the run and you're relying on the pass, but then your receivers and no one's getting separation, that's where I see the Ravens kind of faltering a little bit. But they also, I like their coaching staff over there. A lot of people would disagree with me, but I think a lot of these games are going to come down to coaching. It's going to be who can out coach who. I mean, I saw it last week with the Giants and the Browns. We were completely out coached. It did not matter who was in that game. We were losing that game. I don't care who was out. They out coached us. They prepared very well. We're seeing some really good coaching combinations come together. So a lot of this is going to come down to coaching. And I mean, you saw a great example of like fantastic coaching to me is the 49ers. The 49ers are literally a backup team. Okay. Like they were banged up. They're playing with Mullins, and kudos to him because he really has held it together for the most part. But it comes from the coaching. I think that coaching staff coaches a beautiful offense. They know how to whatever they're doing over there is working. So a lot of it might come down to coaching too. So it'll be interesting. The Bucks, it's Tom Brady. So you can never underestimate Tom Brady. He does have a chip on his shoulder because let's be serious. They really hyped up this whole, bring Gronk out of retirement. Now we have Antonio Brown who is doing nothing. But I mean, I think Tom is, you have to also look at these vets. He played on the Patriots for how many years, with how many rings, with the same guys, with great talent. And it's not going to happen overnight like they thought. You still need the chemistry. We're not getting an off season. Just because you played with Gronk, you didn't play with anyone else on the team. What, just because JPP? Just because you guys are acting like a Madden game from 2010? Like, it's fine. But, like, there still needs to be a little bit of chemistry. And I think I sense a lot of tension between Brady and the coaching staff over there. And I'm telling you, this is one of those years. I think it might come down to how they coach. The Browns coaching, they're another team. They're doing a great job. I could see them going farther than people think.
Well, and I think the biggest thing, too. Oh, sorry, Brock. The biggest thing, too, is that for me, everyone thinks that Tom Brady, not to be rude, Brock, I know he was your guy, right? But everyone thinks Tom Brady is like the GOAT. And arguably he is, right? But my mentality is always one person cannot change a team, right? And it doesn't matter if that focal person is like the quarterback who is essentially the offense. It doesn't matter because you have one person that is amazing and the GOAT doesn't mean that you can make a team better. Yeah, you can look at like LeBron James in basketball and you could think that same thing, but it's also kind of a mentality thing. Like you look what LeBron brings and his accountability and his, willingness to win and his willingness to do all of these things. And Tom Brady also has that, but at the same time, he wasn't going into a place that had XYZ wins and a great head coach.
And football
the Buccaneers were the Buccaneers.
That's more of a team sport than basketball. It's actually, if you guys haven't seen the interview with Aaron Rodgers explaining it, it's like phenomenal. And he explains the difference with football, and like it really is, it's a team sport, and you have to have, that's what people don't realize. A lot of fans, they have a hard time understanding. You could draft Trevor Lawrence and put him at the Jets right now with Adam Gase and what is happening over there, and I promise you he's going to fail. Sam Darnold was a great prospect. People can say whatever they want. And it doesn't matter. Jeff Burrow, he still, yes, was he having success, but they weren't winning the Super Bowl this year. It's not just the quarterback. It has to be the entire team. You got to get all the pieces right. Obviously, everyone's going to have an Achilles heel, but it's more than just your quarterback.
Well, yeah, I
Yep.
think that's a great point because the big thing that with Tom Brady that people aren't noticing with the Bucks is their offensive line is nowhere close to the Patriots. And when Tom Brady was with the Patriots, his O-line was great, and he had James White, Julian Edelman. He would get the ball out of his hands fast. Now he goes to a team with an offensive line that's not as good, and he has weapons like Antonio Brown and Mike Evans that goes deep. So now he's hanging on the ball longer, and his offensive line is worse. So I think that's the big thing. Yes, it's chemistry, but it's also that he's holding the ball more and his offensive line isn't the greatest. He's getting a lot more. So I think that's a big part. I think actually Leonard Fournette coming in for Ronald Jones, who's been hurt. It's interesting him to get a passing back more into the fold. I think that you saw a little more LaShawn McCoy. I think Ronald Jones, he showed like he can run the football.
I love
But
him. He's a fun player to watch. I can't stand Leonard Fournette. I was so glad that Tampa got them because they were trying to get him on the Giants. I'm like, please, he's too chatty. You know, he's one of those players that runs his mouth a little bit, but Tampa needed that this year. They needed players that run their mouth. That's exactly why they brought Gronk in. That's why they brought Antonio Brown and JPP's there. These are mouthy guys, right? And then they have the GOAT, Tom Brady, who I always debate. There's the GOAT and there's elite. I think Tom Brady is the GOAT. And I think an elite quarterback, I think of Aaron Rodgers with the way he plays. Even though he doesn't have rings, I consider the way he plays football more elite. But Brady's definitely the GOAT. But yeah, Brady's, he's used to having a phenomenal O-line. This guy, I don't even know if you know the stats. I actually would love to know how many times he got sacked during his career. Like, I have to know that. I'm totally going to look that up tonight because he really did. I think he was so protected there and he had great options. And I think the Bucks are just trying to figure it out. It's hard, but I like Jones over there. I think he's doing great.
So this is the segment I just made is over under. So we're going to go through a couple of players, 3 at each position this week. I'm going to ask over unders and we'll play that game. Are you good, Marissa, or do you have to head out?
I gotta head out and split. I got some stuff I gotta do, but you guys have fun with it. Take over. And Stephanie, it was great meeting you. You should come on the pod more.
Yes, let's keep in touch. DM me if you ever need anything. We'll catch up. I'm working on my own YouTube channel. I'd love to have you guys on once I get that up and running. Definitely.
Beautiful. Sold. I'm sold.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Awesome.
All right, let's do it. I love games. Let's do it.
Okay, we'll keep track then with your Twitter following. We'll see who wins at the end.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it. Wait, let me open up. I'm gonna keep track. All right, let's do it. So over under as far as like, you're not talking about games? Are you talking about players?
Player stats. So for example, this first one is your boy Daniel Jones. Over or under? He practiced today, so I'm assuming he's playing. Over under 1.5 turnovers. He's had 14 total turnovers on the year. The Ravens have 20 takeaways, so that's where I got the 1.5. Over under 1.5 turnovers for your boy.
So I'm going under just for the reason that I think that the last time that he played hurt, they made the mistake of thinking that he also didn't turn the ball over when he came back in. So I think that they hopefully have gotten smarter as far as that goes. He's done a pretty good job controlling. I think that causes him a lot of stress. And I'm hoping, hopefully they're running the ball. They got to find a way to get Gallman involved or we will lose the crap out of this game. So I am going to go under for him, but just because of how they will probably call that offense, I don't know that it's necessarily about Danny as much.
Okay, I'll take the over just because the Ravens, I'm on the Ravens hype train. I think their defense is good. They're picking it up. I think Peters should be back this week. I think they should be getting enough pressure on Daniel Jones. And if the Ravens, the big thing is when you think of turnovers, that's what I think of when defenses, when I start a fantasy defense, is you want a team that obviously gets the lead. So the quarterback has to come from behind. He's throwing it more likely he could get strip sacked or throw a pick. I think the Ravens are going to get a lead right away, and Daniel Jones is going to be forced to throw the ball. I don't think your Wayne Gallman's going to work out if they get behind right away. So I'm going to take over in that one.
All right. Sounds good.
Sticking with that game, I think we'll see if you're biased here. Maybe, but you have good explanation. Over under 2.5 touchdowns total by Lamar this week.
2.5.
2.5.
Oof. I mean, so we are getting some people back. So honestly, you could say whatever you want, but you guys have to give credit to the Giants defense because they really have been playing some great ball. But last week, they didn't look so good. So, I mean, they were missing, you have to take into account they were missing Bradbury. Bradbury will be back. Or also, I forget, there's a couple other guys. I think there's 2 other guys that'll be coming back in rotation. Leo Williams is kind of due for a good game. I mean, he didn't play fantastic. He didn't play like Leo Williams. Jabril Peppers did not play like Jabril Peppers. So, for that, I almost want to just like say I don't know if they'll go over. I'll take the over.
You take over total. It's total touchdowns. So if it's two passing, 1 rushing, you take over. He's had 3 touchdowns or more in each of the last 3 games since COVID. But before that, he's only had 2. And like you said, the Giants actually have been really good. They've given up only 20 total touchdowns to quarterbacks this season. So that's just a little over 1. But I think I'm going to go with the over just because the Giants, your run defense is pretty good. So I think when they get to the goal line, I think they might do some play action, get Mark Andrews a little bit involved. So I think I'm going to take the over in that one as well. Last quarterback one, it's going to stay at that 2.5 touchdowns, and it's Jalen Hurts. He had 4 last week against the Cardinals. Now he gets the soft Cowboys defense. Do you think he's going to keep it up this week and scoring touchdowns for the Eagles, or are you going to go with the under?
Gosh, this game.
I'm making good over-unders then, am I?
These are good. These are really good. Usually I like do some things that are kind of similar to this. I'm like, okay, these questions, come on, guys. These are really good. Okay, so this one's hard because the Giants, it's in their favor for the Eagles to win. So I don't like so my thing with quarterbacks that kind of like get started in the season like this is they do come out hot and then they fizzle. And what worries me is it feels like a fizzle game, and it sounds stupid, but the thing is too, Dallas's defense is crap. So how many touchdowns was it? The same? 2.5?
Yeah, 2.5 total touchdowns. So if he gets one rushing,
I'm going to take the over for sure on that one. Yeah, 2.5. I think that's going to be a high scoring game, which will be surprising to some people because the Dallas Cowboys can score a lot of touchdowns. It's just that the other team competes with them because the defense doesn't do anything. So Pollard's been doing good. I think that if they can incorporate him and not get too excited that Zeke is coming back, because that'll be their downfall. They do this a lot where they just rely on Zeke, but he doesn't produce. And they waste the whole game on giving the ball to Zeke, and then they come up with what? So I think that this will definitely be one that's the over. That I'm pretty confident out of the 3, that one I'm confident with.
Yeah, the Dallas Cowboys have given up a total of 32 touchdowns to opposing quarterbacks this year. I'm actually going to go with the under on this one. Okay. Rookie quarterbacks are inconsistent. I found in fantasy, it's kind of tough. I actually called the game last week. Jalen Hurts was my stream of the week. But this week, I think it's going to be a Miles Sanders game. I think Miles Sanders could go off and maybe get the scores down the stretch. In divisional games, well, anything in NFL, it's kind of unpredictable. But divisional game, I'll just take the under for that one.
Yeah, I actually think that'll be a game to watch for once. I think for once I will not want to cry watching the Cowboys game, but I think it'll be a good game to watch. I think the Eagles, they're another one of those teams on paper. They're good. They need to figure out what they're doing because they got some good talent over there. So I think we'll see with I don't know, Jalen Hurts. I don't know if I buy into it yet. I think he has a little adrenaline rush, but I'll give him the over this time.
Definitely. Going on to running backs, the hottest running back easily in the NFL right now. December is his month. Derrick Henry, over or under 1.5 touchdowns against the Green Bay Packers on Sunday Night Football.
That's another over for me. I mean, these Green Bay, we talked about this, you mentioned it, and I totally agree with you. I mean, their Achilles heel is 100% that it's that D. I think that, yeah, he's hot right now. And there's like no stopping this guy either. I mean, he's not someone that you get, oh, it's a fluke. He's just having a couple, like, he's just a good player. That's it, period. He's someone that you're going to see a couple of bad games a year out of, but like his bad is some players great. So for this one with the Pack, are they at Lambeau?
They're at Lambeau.
So that makes it a little spicy, but I think I will still take the over there.
For me, I'm in the fantasy championship, and I'm against Derrick Henry. So I want to say the under, because I honestly think that, but I don't want to jinx myself. So I'm going to go with the win-win, and I'm going to say over. So if he doesn't get it, then I feel all right. And the Packers have given up 18 touchdowns to running backs this year. Derrick Henry leads the NFL running backs with 15 rushing touchdowns. And the Titans they stick to the run even when they're behind. I remember they're behind the Steelers right away in that game, but they didn't go away from the run, and they just don't do that. So even like you said, if the Packers have a lead, I think Henry can get in the end zone a couple of times. So I'll take the over as well.
And the Packers are known for, and this is the first time I've noticed that the Steelers are kind of like this now, you're noticing this, is the Packers are always that team. They're always a good team no matter what, but they always have a kryptonite, and there is a way to beat them. There is always a way, for some reason, for years, there's always been a way to beat the Green Bay Packers. So again, it comes to coaching. If the coaching staff can find that way to beat them, it's done. So, because we've seen Aaron Rodgers, he is able to get shaken. And that's why he's not the GOAT. He's just elite.
Yeah, just a quick thing on that. We talked about playoffs. The thing I never noticed, but it makes sense when I heard it. I'm like, yeah, the Packers have never hosted an NFC Championship game with Aaron Rodgers. I just noticed that. So that one seed, they're gonna, obviously you're always gonna play hard in December, but I think they have a little extra ammunition here to close out these last two games. Because I think Aaron Rodgers wants the NFC to run through Green Bay.
Because he's getting older. He doesn't want to end up like Big Ben.
Yeah, definitely. Sticking with the NFC North, I guess that with Aaron Rodgers talk there, going with Dalvin Cook. He's going against the number one rush defense in the New Orleans Saints. Over or under 79 yards rushing.
What's he averaging a game? Do you know off your head? I have him. I should know. I do have him. I'm in the championship, and I made it in 3 of my 4 leagues. Thank you, Juju, for completely screwing that up the last week. But I can't think. I always just kind of count on him. So like, I feel like I don't know what his is off the top of my head.
He averages, let's see here, 114 yards rushing per game.
Man, this one's tough. I think
it's rushing yards too, not total yards. It's rushing.
Yeah, I think I might. He's another one I'm going to take the under here. I kind of like the Saints. The Saints are a team that know when they need to focus on a player, which ends up being their downfall because a team like the Vikings know that they can just use another player where they have other weapons on that team, where I think that they'll try to cover him and it'll go well because you're going to stop Dalvin Cook, but you're forgetting you need to stop everyone else. So I'm going to take the under here. I kind of like it. And I can imagine you're going to be opposing me in this one.
Actually, no, I'm going to take the under. Last year when they won, Dalvin Cook had 92 yards rushing, but he had 22 carries. He only averaged 3.4 yards. I think the Saints are finally pissed off by the Vikings, and with their defense, Danielle Hunter not there. Obviously, Michael Pierce opted out. Eric Kendrick's probably not playing. For my case, I have Alvin Kamara going in the fantasy playoffs. I think they get him going. I think they get a quick lead, and then Dalvin Cook won't get it much going on the rushing side. So I'm going to take the under with you as well.
Yeah.
The Saints' run defense is for real.
Yeah, you can't forget. I mean, I think people it's easy to be like, oh, Breeze got hurt, whatever. But there's still plenty of players on the team. It's not, you guys are acting like it's like falling apart there's still a good organization who they can still ball. So don't worry. I still think that they're a threat. Do I think they're going to the Super Bowl? Definitely not. But they're always contenders. They're always pushed their way through for the most part.
Definitely. Going to the last running back, Jonathan Taylor. He's been hot these last few games, 4 touchdowns in the last 3. He goes up against the Steelers run D that, stopped Saquon week 1. They've kind of been not the greatest, though, these last couple of weeks, giving up 2 touchdowns yesterday or 2 days ago to Giovanni Bernard. Does Jonathan Taylor get in the end zone this week against the Steelers?
Oh yeah. Listen, I don't know what the Steelers' problem is with the word run. They can't run the ball. They can't stop the run. I don't know what is going on over there, but they're like are allergic to that word over there. So I think absolutely. I think that Jonathan Taylor, he kind of gets, I don't want to say a bad rep, but I think he really is heating up, and you saw people kind of jump off the bandwagon very fast with him. But I mean, I like the Colts is the thing. I still think people don't sleep on those Colts, because I think that they're a team they're still one of the teams that are pretty held together. They're one of the more complete teams in the league. I mean, they have a vet quarterback who can get things done when he is healthy. So I definitely like them. I definitely think he'll get in the end zone without a problem this week.
I like what you say, like the playoffs is going to come down with coaching. I also think it comes down to really the matchup as well. What I talked about back when the Steelers were the 1 seed and the Chiefs were the 2 seed, I think the Chiefs, the toughest team they had play is the Colts. You remember on Sunday Night Football last year, the Colts went in to Arrowhead and won Jacoby Brissett. I think that'd be a team that the Chiefs don't want to watch. With that being said, the Steelers have given up only 8 touchdowns rushing to running backs this year. I'm going to take I don't think he gets in the end zone. So I'm going to say JT doesn't. I'm actually sitting him in fantasy this week in my championship for Leonard Fournette going against the Lions' worst run defense.
Does it worry you that they're falling apart a little bit?
The Buccaneers?
No. The Steelers. I feel like this is kind of their crumble a little bit.
Yeah, I just can't see them dying with Mike Tomlin, especially on the defensive end. I don't trust that.
That's true. Fair. That's fair. I mean, the offense is, I don't disagree with you there. And I applaud Tomlin. I think I feel bad because I think that he definitely would have been in the running for a coach of the year had they not start collapsing like this. So it's upsetting to see, but I do agree. It's kind of like Patrick Graham on the Giants. It's like, you have to applaud them for what they've done. So I do think their offense is really the thorn in their side there. But on the Chiefs, I just wanted to say the one game that stands out to me about them, and the reason why I don't see them winning the Super Bowl, is that second Raiders Chiefs game this year. The Raiders really kept them in check. So as long as you can keep them in check, they might go to the Super Bowl, but it's only going to take 2 points to beat that, So I think that they're a beatable team. I think that it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Chiefs this year. I know everyone really thinks they're going to win the Super Bowl, but I'm a little skeptical.
Yeah, you have to beat the Chiefs. You have to keep Patrick Mahomes on the sideline. The Patriots, honestly, on that Monday night afternoon, they didn't have Brian Hoyer as their quarterback. They could have won that game. That's 100%. The recipe. You run the ball all the time and go for it. What was it? Who did it? Who didn't go for it against the Chiefs? I think it was the Broncos on Sunday Night Football when they had a chance to go for it. When you go against the Chiefs, you got to go for it in situations.
Always. Yeah.
Because not only do you need the points, but you need to waste more clock and keep them off the field.
Right. Because they're a team, if you can compete with the Chiefs, you take every point you can get and you make sure that when there's 1 minute left and you're up by 1, you just have to hold them, right? So it's that's the type of game that you have to play against the Chiefs, because they obviously are a fantastic team. So you got to take every point you can get, take every chance you can get. You have to play really competitive football against them.
And the last part too, like you said, the Patriots, the thing they did too is they took away Tyreek Hill's deep ball. Make the Chiefs waste time to get down the field too, so they're not scoring in 3 plays. And then they're not as good as we saw in the red zone inside the 10, because you take away that speed. So
exactly.
I agree with you too that the Chiefs definitely are beatable. I don't think they're a lock here in the AFC. I think I know what you're going to do with this one. We're going on to the wide receivers.
Oh,
Doesn't
God.
sound like Antonio Brown. You like him. He scored his first touchdown last week. He plays the Lions, who's given up the fourth most passing touchdowns. Do you think Antonio Brown scores back-to-back weeks?
No.
No.
I don't know. It's the Lions, but here's the thing, too, with them. I kind of see this being a trap game a little bit, too. Like, I could see the Lions somehow. I'm waiting for the Lions to just make everyone just be a little quiet. Like, just be a little quiet. They just need to show up. I mean, I think it's not it's that this is the thing with the Bucks that we talked about. It's like they have all these players, but they haven't really had them all on the field at the same time. They're a really hard. I don't have any of them on any of my teams. I didn't pick any of them up because you don't know what you're going to get week by week. I feel like it's been very all over the place. So he could, but I'm going to guess not. I'm going to take him not scoring a touchdown.
Okay, I have him in fantasy. I'm actually starting him over in my touchdown league. I'm starting him over Jonathan Taylor. You might think that's crazy, but actually the thing what I'm debating between is I just think the Lions secondary is not great. You saw Will Fuller torch them.
Yeah.
It's just hard, like you said, though, which receiver is going to go off. That's tough. But I think
it's tough with them. You never know. You don't know who is. It's because Brady's also one of those quarterbacks. And I mean, you've seen it between him and the coach this year. It's like Brady gets on the field and he's like, I don't care what you say. I'm calling my own plays, essentially, So it's like there's no consistency because what Brady's doing is Brady's on that field to win. So when he's a guy that he can find an open spot and he can put it in there. So it kind of depends on who ends up getting separation, if he listens to the play calling. So I always get nervous with the Bucks. I stayed away from them. I will admit, I picked up Leonard Fournette at one point when everyone was dropping him. He stayed on my bench because it's like I put him in 1 week after he popped off, expected him to do great. And then I don't even think he got the ball. So it's like, it's really hard with them to tell. Antonio Brown could get 3 touchdowns because he could be the leader this week, but it's hard there to guess. You could very much be right with that one. I don't understand the Bucks. I don't understand their dynamic. I don't know their game plan. It doesn't make sense. They've almost lost to some of the worst teams in the league. It's like, and they have, so it's like, you don't know. I never know what I'm going to get with that. I almost know what I'm going to get with the Jets more than I know what I'm going to get with the Bucks. It's so bizarre.
Yeah, definitely. Going on to the next receiver, Allen Robinson. He's going against the Jaguars, this old team. Over under 99.5 receiving yards. We'll get 100 yards or more against.
He's going over this week. I'm telling you, the Bears are hot and they're not stopping because you want to know why? Mitch Trubisky is now he's playing to get paid. And the way he's going to get paid is if Allen Robinson gets the ball. So I think that this is going to be a really great game for him. I think I haven't totally set my lineups yet, but I've been wavering between him. He might be someone I throw into a flex in one of my leagues because I think that he might end up really having a good game. And I know, don't give me that face. Don't tell me you're going to disagree with me.
No, I'm taking the over too.
Okay, cool.
I'm
good.
right with you. The thing about Allen Robinson, though, he kind of broke my heart. In one of my leagues, I played Josh Jacobs against the Colts 2 weeks ago over Allen Robinson in the flex, and I lost by 1.5 points. So if I would have played him, I would have won.
Oh, you know what happened to me? The same exact. You know what happened that week? I use ESPN fantasy for one of my leagues, and they don't auto save when you do stuff. So this was the week that I had Shepard in, who got 0.2 points or something ridiculous, and Allen Robinson in that league had like 34 points, and I was like, there is no way, and I lost by like 0.2. Had he been in, I would have absolutely crushed. So it was very devastating. I mean, but he was hard to predict in the beginning of the season too. I was always a little skeptical of him, but I think I love him. I would love for him to come to New York, honestly. But I think
New England.
Hey, watch it. But that, you know what's funny is Belichick loves guys like that, is because, like, I don't know if you saw his agent was getting a little chatty about how he needs to get the ball more. that automatically eliminates him from Joe Judge. But the guy that likes guys like that is Belichick. He loves a good story like that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I've heard that the Giants are linked to Kenny Golladay. I think there's so many good pass catchers coming free agency. It'll be
I don't see us taking my hope is we don't take anyone in the free agency. I'd rather pay the defense everything that they want, keep the defense the way it is, and I think we need like a fresh wide receiver. I don't want a vet wide receiver. I want someone that's coming out, is going to be a wide receiver 1, and just he's going to grow with the team because it's a young offense. So the whole team is young. It's the youngest team in the NFL right now. So I would just prefer to keep it young right now because I think that's with Joe Judge being young, with the likelihood that a new offensive coordinator does come in. I don't think Garrett is keeping his job. I think that we just got to stay young at this point.
Yeah, speaking of a young receiver up and coming, DK Metcalf. He goes against the toughest passing opponent, Jalen Ramsey. Over or under 59 yards receiving for DK Metcalf this week.
You know what? How did he do last week, huh? I actually didn't look. He is someone that has really ticked me off this year because I swear I play him and he just like absolutely blows it for me. I think that the Rams are definitely getting their booties whipped in the locker room right now still. So I think that they are going to come back with a vengeance. I could see them. You can shut down Metcalf. He is stoppable. There's teams that can do it. Didn't the Rams actually shut him down already this season? They did.
Yeah, he had 28 yards.
Cardinals,
first time.
And the Rams did it, right? They did it. They were able to hold him. I think the Giants did a pretty good job controlling him too, if I remember correctly. But he can be stopped. So I think that the Rams, especially, I love Jalen Ramsey. He's a punk, but let me tell you, that guy can play football. I don't really care. I think that might get a little nasty though. We might see it's going to get a little ugly that game. I think there's a lot of personality on both those teams, but I think they'll hold him. I'm going to take the under.
Okay. I'm going to take the over on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, he had 28 yards only receiving against Jalen Ramsey. I think DK Metcalf's a star, and I don't think stars like that. I with his competitiveness, how big and strong he is, I think he's going to be even more turned up for this game. The last 2 weeks, like you said, he's really gone down. Metcalf. He's had 104 yards total these last 2 weeks. He got 61 against your Giants, so you hold them check, and then only 43 last week. I can't see DK staying under that 3 straight weeks. I'm going to take the over for this one. I also have him in fantasy in my championship.
Mm-hmm.
I got lucky. I played Marissa last week in the fantasy semifinals.
Did you? Did you beat her?
Yeah, she didn't have such a good week. She only scored like 75 points. I got lucky. She had Russell Wilson, who didn't do much.
You know who I had, who you will think is I had Derek Carr, and I was like, that's it, I'm done. I'm like, I'm so done now. How did that happen? I'm like, Derek Carr, I picked up, it was a fantastic pickup. I picked him up just knowing that he was going to do well those 2 weeks. He got me 20, almost like 30 points, 30 something 1 week. And this is going to be a good game. I'm so excited. When he made that face and grabbed his groin, I was like, there goes my championship. But I managed to still sneak in. So I'm still in that. I'm excited. I'm playing my best guy friend. So we're going to watch it together, which is going to be a little bit brutal, but I'm hoping I can pull through there. That's fun that you guys are in a league together.
Yeah, you're definitely not the only one that started Derek Carr. I'm playing a guy in the championship who started Derek Carr over Tom Brady. And he was down by 13 points going into Monday Night Football. He had Tyler Boyd, and he wasn't the most smartest throughout the year. Like, he traded away A.J. Brown for your boy Darius Slayton. Like, sometimes I didn't understand him.
That's a dynasty move, but that's not a fantasy move.
Yeah, but he picked up Benny Snell and put him in as flex for Tyler Boyd. He came back and won by 2, so now I play him this week.
Wow.
But I'm not too excited. He's the 6th seed. You'd get excited, but fantasy, anything can happen. And he's got Derrick Henry, like we just talked about. And now he put in Tom Brady against the Lions. So I'm not that confident now.
Who is your like favorite? It doesn't even necessarily have to be a pickup, because So I'm someone that's like some of my leagues, I didn't really move too much around. It was more like moving the bench up and like I kind of was used what I got. I got kind of lucky in a couple leagues. Despite draft in one of my leagues, my first draft pick was Saquon. Then every year I get totally eliminated because I have a crappy tight end. I go, this year it's not happening. I'm picking a tight end, second pick. It's going to be great. I pick Kittle. I'm pumped. And he gets hurt. And I was like, this is a nightmare. Everything is going to crap. I forget who else I have. Dobbins, Debo, like I have all these, it's like injury, but I managed to pull, at least we had some players. Someone had Justin Jefferson just like lingering out there. I'm like, snag. I picked up Tanya. And so as long as you stay on top of it, that league I was able to recover, but some of these leagues, it was like a nightmare. I was like, there's no way I'm out of it. But Aaron Jones is someone that's always pretty consistent for me. I like having that guy on my team.
Yeah, the big moves I made in the 2 leagues that I can win first now. I was big on CeeDee Lamb.
Really?
But after Dak Prescott got hurt, I moved on from him. I got Kenyon Drake bought low and then traded away CeeDee Lamb for Kenyon Drake, and he scored plenty of touchdowns since then.
That's a good move. That's definitely a good move. If you said someone like Kenny Galladay or something, I thought you were gonna say Kenny Galladay. I'm like, oh boy, you're probably in a mess. Did you have CMC?
I didn't have a first pick in any of my leagues. So I don't have to worry.
I have Mixon in one of my leagues, which was a little that hurt. That one stung for sure.
I haven't had much injuries. And then the last one with Marissa, the league I'm with her, there's a big Cowboys fan that was hounding me about CeeDee Lamb wanting him after he had like that 100-yard gain against the Lions or the Browns or whatever. And I saw Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen were doing pretty good together. So I swapped CD for Keenan Allen and that.
Oh my gosh, that's a steal. Sometimes I see these, I'm like, you're like taking candy from a baby sometimes, but that's awesome. I'm excited to see if you end up, I hope both of us do well.
Yeah, I hope you win. Last question.
Let's do it.
I wish Marissa was here for the last over-under.
Oh boy.
Missing over-under 1.5 missed kicks for Dan Bailey Christmas. Over-under.
Over. I'm sorry, Marissa. Over. I think over. I don't know. It's a nightmare. Yeah, over. It's got to be over. I don't know. I can't even say under because how can you reliably say that he's going to be under that number? So I will go. I will go over.
I'll stick up for my friend Marissa.
Very good. See, that's teamwork that rocks. Very good.
I'll just say under, but it's not a good thing for Marissa. I just don't know how much they're going to score against that Saints defense on a short
That's
weekend.
fair.
I think they're pissed. Again, this is kind of like a revenge game for the Saints. Minneapolis Miracle losing at home last week. And also Dan Bailey with the Cowboys. He's one of the most accurate kickers indoors. Since it's in the dome, I'm going to take under for this one. That's
fair. I can't argue with that. All solid points. And you're sticking up for Marissa. You have to do it.
I'm sorry that Marissa had to leave here. She had
no, it's okay.
Christmas.
We definitely will have to chat in the off season. I'm excited because this is my first year doing stuff. I kind of reactivated my Twitter during quarantine, and I made one tweet about Leonard Fournette that went viral. And then that's like essentially how people like started finding me. So I'm just starting to get into the podcast and I'm getting used to having my mic on and stuff. But I think the off season is going to be really fun to talk about because like I said, I think we're going to have a fun off season this year. I think it'll be very interesting. I'm so excited about free aid, like just everything, the draft. It's just going to be an interesting year. There's a lot of contracts ending, a lot of quarterback draw. I'm so excited. So we'll have to get together during the off season for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Again, this is Stephie Smalls. You can follow her at Stephie Smalls, STEPHIESMALLS. Is that right?
Yeah, I have 3. So it's Smalls is with 3 L's. Unfortunately, there is a Stephie Smalls. I've been trying to buy her handle. She won't give it to me, but so for now, I'm Stephie Smalls with 3 L's.
And she's so close to 5,000 followers, I saw. So give her a follow.
I know. I can't believe it. I had like 200 in like September. So it's crazy. So I have a ton of support, especially Giants Nation. I mean, you know how crazy being a Pats fan, those Giants fans are. So they are very loyal. So I'm very lucky to have them.
Yeah, we had a Brianna Peary. I don't know if you've heard of her, but she's a Patriots person, kind of like you. She's got a good fan base, kind of up and coming in the Foxborough area, and she was on. So
Very cool.
definitely.
I'll have to check her out. It's nice. I'm starting to meet like other girls, and I appreciate you for working with a female. I applaud people that don't keep it a boys club. I know it's very much a boys club, so it's always nice when you guys let us in a little bit.
No, I like talking football with whoever, so that's
Anyone, exactly. That's what I say. I'll talk football with anyone.
All right. Well, Stephie, thank you for coming on the show.
Of
And yeah, definitely
course.
anytime else you want to come on, we'll definitely have you. Merry Christmas, everyone. Stay
Yes.
safe, especially if you're in a blizzard and a COVID. And we'll come back
Yeah.
next week and preview week 17 and probably talk a little more playoff matchups.
And I'm gonna put up our who wins out of Brock and I. I'm gonna make sure to update you guys on my Twitter, so keep an eye out for that. We'll see how it goes. Good luck, everyone, in your championships if you are there still.
Awesome. Peace and
Right.
see you next
See
week.
ya. Bye, guys.